Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to the PokerDeals Podcast. Today's episode features a high-profile poker twitcher with $4.6 million live and online total earnings, the host of his very own podcast, The Flow Show, none other than Mr. Jeff Gross. Welcome, Jeff. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you?
All good, all good. What you got going on lately? What's been up?
Been busy, been traveling, was on the road for about 5 months. So went to Europe, was nice, a little bit of vacation, also some streaming. Obviously can't do it in Miami. That's where I'm back now. So that was nice. Got to play some of the WPT stuff online, had a couple deep runs in the main events. That was fun. And then WSOP played for about a month. I missed maybe the first couple of weeks and then was gone for a little bit in between, but 2 final tables, including the 10K high-low world championship got fit. That was six-figure score and a lot of fun. So yeah, it was slightly winning WSOP, which is always, it's good, and doing a lot of the videos, the vlogs and such, and still doing some podcasts while I was there. So keeping busy, exciting times, a lot going on in the world, poker, NFTs, crypto. It's just hard, it's like FOMO overload, and I have a 2.5-year-old. So yeah, it's a lot, it's just a lot of, lot going on, but all good stuff, exciting stuff, and a couple projects and investments working on, and yeah, just keep them busy, really.
It sounds like you have a lot going on, but how's the World Series this year? What's the vibe like?
It was fine. I mean, coming in, you had to get vaccinated, like show your proof of vaccination was actually really simple. And I actually, I wasn't there on the first couple of days, so I think it was probably much more crowded. It was really easy. Light on masks, walking around the hallways, you're supposed to wear a mask and whatnot, but that was like at the table was optional. So it's kind of funny because it's actually sort of an advantage, right? So it's like wearing a hat or glasses that like a little bit helps maybe, or is different than the mask to it. I do feel it is an advantage. I started a podcast with my good friend Brian Rast called Big Free, and he won a bracelet in the 3K 6 max. It was funny because he was like wearing a mask, and he kind of forgot the way he was wearing it, like because they make you wear it when you walk away from the tables. Then he started wearing it a little bit. And he went on the heater and then kept it on and won. And I noticed some really talented players wearing it at times, and then sometimes they wouldn't. But Helmuth would wear a mask, so I do think it's a little bit of a just like a slight advantage, I would say, or just kind of like it covers up some stuff, and you can kind of just almost be laughing or doing whatever and not show what you're feeling or doing. So that was interesting. But all in all, the vibe was good, and just maybe the numbers were down a little bit, but I thought it was a success, and really no COVID outbreaks, or kind of at the end there was a couple of people that got it and withdrew or made some statements about it, but it was pretty relaxed. And last WSOP at the Rio, so that was it was interesting, and kind of time for a new chapter there.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did pretty well to even hold the event, to be honest, right? I mean, it was, I guess, a success if there was no real outbreaks, and they managed to continue for the full time, especially now that we have this new variant. But what do you think about covering yourself up at the poker table? Is that something that you think should be looked at, or everyone can decide what they want to do?
It's tricky. I know. I remember Dan Legrand, few years back, was talking about not being able to wear glasses. He thought that was even like something that could be good, but it's tricky, right? Because it's like, yeah, if it's an advantage, and you're there to win, why don't you just like cover yourself? And you see like Vogel saying with the turtleneck and all this stuff, and crazy covering himself, because it's like it is you're giving up less or you just don't have to worry about if you are giving up something or not. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's up to you, right? There's no rule book about it. Phil Locke, actually, there was a Phil Locke rule one year. I don't know if you knew this, that he dressed up. There's actually a rule in the WSOP rule book. He dressed up. He like had a makeup done as like an old man. That was a long time ago. So that's taking it to an extreme. But it's I think it's within the rules. It's within the rules, and then it's just up to you for comfortability. If you want to go that be hot or have the mask on, and there's pluses and minuses, and I think it should be up to everyone unless there's a standardized rule. Until then, I think it's like up to whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, that is the rule, isn't it? It's just an interesting one, because it's almost like, well, I mean, just go play online then. If you're going to wear the shades, you're going to wear the hood, you're going to wear a mask. I mean, why don't you just play online? And if everyone, the only thing I think is it detracts away from the entertainment value sometimes of the game, which I think maybe in a televised game will have quite a big impact. But maybe if it's not televised, then whatever.
Right. Yeah. No, it's I think it's fine. I mean, I don't know. I think it's also just kind of like an accessories at this point, but it's interesting, and I think it's I'm actually a little surprised more people don't wear more kind of protective stuff, and I guess I find myself in different moods. Like some days I'm just like carefree, relaxed, and want to be whatever, and some days I am feeling like, all right, let me put a hat and glasses on, or even just those times I'd wear the mask, but very rarely. But I did feel like it is a bit of an advantage to have that on.
Fair enough. All right. So I guess you've been doing a lot of streaming this time. COVID's been here, and perfect time to be on the computer. How has the online scene gone?
That's good. I mean, during last year, during COVID, it was pretty intense, like playing a lot. This past 2021 in particular, I didn't play quite as much. Was focusing on podcasts, a couple projects, doing more content, and I have a couple projects within poker and content of my own going. So that's been my main focus. Party Poker's pulled out of like 40% of the markets with moving into the US and focusing on BetMGM and the Roar deal. So it's a little disappointing from that standpoint that Rob's so proactive, so aggressive and everything, and then he kind of got just like as a business, let's say that 4% is poker of the Entain now. It used to be GVC. To pull out 40%, it's only like 1.6% of the business, and they're focused on sports and gaming. They've always done a good job with poker and being a passion. And Party Poker is a big brand. It's been around forever. Everyone kind of knows it, and sort of the original big name. But it's good. And they just had a software big update. Looks really nice. I'm looking forward to playing that and playing some of these millions, like the 5K. Day after Christmas, I'll be playing. There's a 5 million guaranteed and some other big guarantees, and it's a big month for online for Party, and I'll be back streaming and be out of the country to do that towards the end of the year. So yeah, it's exciting. I think the games are big, the pools are big, the prizes are big. People have been playing. There's definitely been a boost in poker, and especially live. I think we've seen that in numbers in general, like WPTs and turnouts. You have to remember WSOP is during non-school time, like normally it's in the summer, June, July, everyone's off. People are kind of rolling in. Some people can stay longer here. I think it was a pretty good numbers considering the time. I think that's, some people might say the numbers are down, but in reality, I think with that part of the year, it was actually really strong. And, the main event was strong. They added a couple extra days. Europe was able to come over, and they weren't there for a good bit of the WSOP. So, I think all in all, poker's healthy and people are playing. New people are kind of coming in. It's an interesting time for sure. What in the U.S. coming back stronger, new states, Pennsylvania, Michigan. I think it's always kind of plus and minuses. Like it seems like the industry has always been like taking a few steps back, then it takes steps forward. It'd be nice if U.S. just came online and piggyback some of the legalized sports betting in the U.S. As a federal level, like to see some states just kind of activate and all share liquidity. I think there could be another big boom. So,
yeah, for sure. So you're obviously part of the team online Party Poker. Like, how did that happen, Jeff? And just talk to us about your part in that.
Yeah, so it was a crazy story. I actually put a vlog up on my YouTube channel about this particular hand at the time, but I was in the Bahamas and I was playing in a private game. It was on a boat, in the harbor there with Rob Young and a few other people. And I lost like one of the biggest pots of my life. We were playing like 501K. No limit.
Oh wow!
And I had aces all in pre. Rob Young had kings, and he always runs at one time. If it was like normally, you go to a private game, you're on a boat, and you get aces all into kings for I think it was like a $360,000 pot or roughly in that neighborhood. And he made quad kings and only wants to start at one, he's behind. So that was pretty upsetting.
Wild.
But that was we had been playing and talking a bit, but I had played with them once before in Montreal at Playground Poker a few years ago. Didn't have his number, never spoke, and I was actually there that was during the PSPC. I think the Players Championship, the 25K, massive buy-in and a guarantee. And it was January, I think what was that year 18 or 19? 19, I guess, 2019, 2021. Yeah. So it was January, and I was renewing my contract talks with Stars because my deal was up in January 31st and it was like January 10th or something. And I actually busted aces to kings in the 25K, and then the next day lost aces to kings in the biggest cash game, one of the biggest pots I've lost in my life. And then Rob, Andrew Robo was joking like, "Oh, Rob, you should pay him with his own money." And
well, that's a needle and a half.
Yeah, and we started talking, and he was not very like he basically was saying that the party poker guarantees and also the software wasn't really up to speed, so that's why he knew about Twitch but didn't really look into it too much, didn't want to invest in a team and spending money to promote something, the product that he didn't feel was up to snuff. So he was kind of the right place, right time. My thing was ending. We started talking. He was like, "Well, tell me more about this Twitch and how it would have to work." And I feel myself personally, I like the business side of things. I like being, I've streamed, I've done the grind. Like I just want to say, like, too, with streaming and poker, it's so difficult for a non, if you're American or you can't play the major sites from the US. Cause like, again, I have a son, 2.5-year-old, like traveling around, being out of a laptop, extra monitor, bringing all the wires, internet shitty in a lot of different countries and areas, especially if you don't have like a set fiber or glass or high speed internet set, like even at a hotel that you would be like, oh, like that's a nice hotel or should be good. It's just like, it's sometimes not, or like, oh, it's steady, up and up, but it's really not. It's like, maybe it peaks at 5, but really it's like 0.6 or 1.2. And it's like, I've had so many streams that were just terrible with quality, the internet problems, like even where I couldn't get off the ground. It's just like such a grind. And so, that was like kind of interesting to me to basically not just be cornered as a streamer. And at Stars, that's kind of what was going on. And in that contract renegotiation, they were basically like, they want to put more tournament dollars. They wanted me to play more. And my son was due to be born in mid-April. And it was like end of January now. So like, I'm just like a little stressed. Like I set up everything in Miami. I'm like, I don't want to be living out of a suitcase and traveling around with a newborn and just in general. And like, I just was feeling a bit whatever. So it's kind of just right place, right time. Get a lot of ideas and making a team. And then I said, look, if we're going to do it, you got to bring Jamie Staples. Let's get Kevin Martin. Matt Staples is unsigned, so is Pav. They were two big streamers up and coming. They were definitely time for a contract. And we kind of came together with a plan. And I basically just said, here's what I think we need to do. Here's what I would want to be able to come over. And everything was just like boom, boom, boom. It was just like done. It was a significantly better deal than I was getting, and I was very happy. And just also the fact that Rob is such a poker fan. He's like loves the game, out for the players, and there's like listen, Stars is great. Not going to talk, bad about Stars. Just like it was a major company. I didn't have like a direct line to the CEO or owner where I'm like talking to him daily and saying, here's what I think we should do. It also just takes a lot more time, with how it's set up to get stuff done, doing Streamboat, doing these type of ideas and creatives. It just takes forever because there's so much corporate stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of just like right place, right time and what I was looking to do and how I wanted to go. And it was just, it was a lot of fun. Rob then flew to Miami a week later, kind of firmed up everything and met with me there, and that was it. And then we went to work. So, but it's one of those like right place, right time, but also just in the moment, like such a bad sort of beat where not saying it's like what caused me to sign with him, but like say I had won, maybe I didn't get to play the next day. We ended up playing for a few days together and talked a lot and got to know each other. And, it was just, one of those things that turned out to be a really good thing.
What a roller coaster. I mean, the ups and downs, classic of poker, I guess, on and off the tables. Yeah. But did you have like a big following on Twitch and streaming already, or was it just something that you said this was a good idea?
You mean when during that time when I was with Party, or what?
When you lost the pot, like with Rob, and then how did it come up? I mean, did you already have a Twitch following that you?
I mean, I've been streaming. So this was like 2019. I think I was probably at the peak or close to of like time and effort I was putting into it. I think I started in late 2015 as a test. 2016, 2017 were really big years for me. 2018, I had 20,000 concurrent viewers. Was my peak.
That's huge on Twitch.
Yeah, I think I averaged like 1,100 over the course of my 4 years or whatever when I was streaming like 16, 17, 18, 19 intensively. So, I mean, I had good numbers, over 80,000 subscribers, and, I put in a lot. But Twitch is so much consistency and king of the hill. So it's like if you take off 2 months, 3 months, or you stream a few times a month, or you stream for a month, but then you're off for 2 weeks and come back. Like, it's very difficult. You see great streamers, Jason Somerville, Tonka, these guys that have really set the bar and streamed a lot and had very huge loyal followings get burnt out. Like, or Jason, actually, I really like what he did. He would play one table. He would just focus on that, really connect with his chat, And he would also do like seasons. He'd be like, look, I'm going to stream every day for 3 months, but then I'm going to take off a couple months. Like that's also a very smart way to do it, because then it's like you're letting your viewers know the expectations, what to do. Hey, like go to find some other ones, streams to watch or whatever, but I'll be back here. Here's what I'm doing. So like, I think he was, looking back at what I would do or do differently up to this point, I think he probably has done it the best and the cleanest, and his results showed. He also was like the original, the OG on Twitch, but I think he really is like a pioneer and did things really well. And then obviously Lex has had tremendous success and kind of been dominating for a few years. Tonka's done very well. Jamie, of course, Matt. But again, with party poker, and especially with the markets and pulling out and the guarantees, we're handicapped a bit because the software is not quite up to snuff on the other like GG or Stars, and then the guarantees are a lot bigger on these other sites too. So it's tricky. Now, luckily, Party Poker, unlike Stars, would let us play other sites as well. So like that's nice. But still, you're 90%, 80% focusing on the site that you have a contract with. So that's tricky, and you're not really just like playing everything else. And also, the software now in Party has gotten a lot better. Like I'm excited to get back and be streaming this month because it's been a big updates and improvements. So that'll be cool. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a grind. I love it. I love Twitch. I love streaming. I love podcasting, doing YouTube vlogs. To me, it's very fun, the content side of poker.
Yeah, you seem to really enjoy the content creation side. Like, what is it about that draws you combined with the playing?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like it's kind of right place, right time in general. Like this is always how it goes, whether it's like Bill Gates and Microsoft or being a poker streamer or not. Like, look, I'm 35. Like if Twitch just started coming out today, or so it was like fast forward 5 years, I probably wouldn't have started. I also wish it had started 5 or 10 years earlier, because I was playing a lot of online poker when I was 2004, 5, 6, 7. These are like my peak years. So like it would have been great if 10 years earlier Twitch had started, and as I was starting playing online, I started doing this. Who knows, and not much you could play in America and all that. Like, but I think it still did catch some of it. I kind of got in relatively early. I think at that time Jason was big, and Tonka or who else? Kevin Martin and Matt. These guys had started, but yeah, I think it was still like pretty good time to start and get into it. But again, I was sort of a little older. I just started, I was playing in a high stakes cash game twice a week in Houston, Texas. Like I would stay with Bill Perkins, fly in Wednesdays and Sundays. That was like my main thing. Then all of a sudden I met my wife at Burning Man, my now wife, and we have a 2.5-year-old. We walked by each other in the middle of the desert. I was actually billboard, and we turned around, looked at each other, and then went and started talking. But like at this point, that was basically my main schedule. I was traveling around playing some tournaments, and I fly into Houston and stay with Bill and play. And then all of a sudden I met her. I was living with Michael Phelps in Baltimore. So this was like 2014 September. I think I had bought a place in Las Vegas at Panorama Towers, a short sale that was like closing, but I hadn't quite got it yet. Then I met her, and I was still living in Baltimore. And then I was like, I need my place. We closed on it. She hates Vegas, to live there, at least, and I had this place that was sort of like my main thing. And now I had to make a decision, because I was like, well, she wants to live in Miami. She has a twin sister, married actually to my brother-in-law, who is we do most of our business together and share an office and stuff. So it's pretty cool. And we live close by. So, that was just like, that was going to be our home. And I knew we weren't going to live in Houston. And then by that time, Bill had moved to St. Thomas, doing that tax program where you can live part of the year and you only pay like 4% tax instead of 40 to 50 if you live part of the year. So like that was kind of moving out. The game had slowed down a little bit, and I really had to make a decision. Do I want to be like a cash game player and just focus on that and move to Houston per se, or do I want to try? And at Twitch, I had found out about around this time in 2015, and I was just like, look, this is like what I want to do. I want to build my own brand. I like streaming. I like this kind of concept and idea. I see some people doing it, and then make a decision, like, do I want to just go for that, or do I want to just kind of do this? So, all in all, yeah, I'm happy with the decision. It was fun. I would never trade it for anything. It was, again, a struggle. I think I was probably at like 40 to 60% capacity of like what I could have done if I had, again, like this setup. I got 4 38-inch monitors. I got nice chair, good internet. Like, I would love to wake up every day and come and stream 3 to 5 hours. Like, that would be amazing. But it's just like not in the cards, I can't really do it on, can't play party poker here. And it's just what it is. But anyway, that's I'm very happy, and I love it. And I just enjoy, long-winded answer why I like content. I just love people. I love connecting. I love poker. I think it's a great game. I think it's a metaphor of life. it's just one of those things that everyone kind of does or knows how to do a little bit or has heard of it or plays a home game. So it's like, I feel like there's just like, it's one of those spots too where, I'm not in the top 0.01%, but I feel like I'm a great player, but not, Justin Bonomo's on my podcast later today, #1 player in the world. Like obviously those guys are doing, they're like doing solvers and they're in a different level. But like at the same time, like I love where I'm at because I know I can get better personally and work on my game. I also can teach a lot of people that are probably, less further along than me. So it's like kind of cool. Like I'm learning, but also teaching and having fun. And I got to say, like, there's really no way to say this without sounding, without being like, in the most humble way, I will say, like, at the WSOP this year, because, there's last year was not here. The year before it was there, but my son was born. I only was there like 10 days. So I don't really know. And then the year before I was like into it, but only like it was kind of newer in terms of vlogging and stuff. Like this WSOP, I got like an overwhelming amount of people who come up and say, I love this or that, or like, so like I get a lot of positive feedback about stuff, and it like it's important to me because it means that people are watching, that they care. And I realize that it's so important for poker to grow. These people that are doing content, that are doing stuff. The first time I ever streamed a YouTube, like did the vlogging, someone came up to me. I had my camera. It was like a weekend of me vlogging in 2017 at the WSOP. And someone came up all excited. I was thinking they're going to say like, oh, I've seen your Twitch or whatever. And they're like, man, Doug Polk? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I know Doug. And he's like, that. And the guy's like, that. He's like, you know him? I was like, yeah, I know him. Like, and he's like, that's the reason I'm here. He's like, I watched his video or his thing, and he drove up. He hadn't played in years, and he came and he was at the World Series. And that was like a weekend of me vlogging. I was like, wow, like, I was like, that it matters. Like people are coming, people are seeing stuff, whether it's streams or Poker Go or Twitch or YouTube or podcasts, and people are, it's sparking some interest. It's something they can do as a hobby or aspirationally get better. And, for me, that's very rewarding. And I think it's, it's good because I love the game and it's fun to see others kind of finding that joy and understanding that poker is a skill game. It's intricate. There's a lot to it. You can learn the rules. It's like that saying about, it takes very quick to learn, but to master. And just one of those things that's kind of fun that you can do anywhere, any place, anytime.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I think people don't realize like there's other ways to make money in poker, not just like being skillful. Like you said, becoming a content creator is another way to make money in poker. And if you enjoy playing the game, you don't just have to be one of the world's best. There's other ways to do it. And I think the content creation is coming out in a lot of different areas and industries. And it's something we're going to see a lot more of in the future for sure.
Right. Absolutely. I'm with you.
Yeah. So like, what's some of the craziest things you've seen in poker in your time?
I mean, like playing, like just that I've actually seen or heard, or just any, like what, like in particular, like what kind of, what are you looking for? Hands, actions, behavior, what?
Whatever you would determine as like some stick out moments you're like, that was just nuts.
I mean, first of all, I've seen a lot of prop bets, which are exciting. That's maybe like just like bets that have come up, $1 million bets, $500,000 for bicycle riding, or tattoos, or all kinds of crazy stuff. But I don't know. I've seen. I mean, there's so much. I don't even know which direction to go. But yeah, I've seen crazy plays. I've seen crazy bluffs. Like things where people like you would never expect to play in a way, who play a certain way, and then all of a sudden go, they get a bit drunk or just get out of character. I've been in a lot of private games and stuff, so there's crazy stuff you see there too. I mean, I don't know. I would have to say the prop betting though. That's the craziest. Just like seeing like people like come up out of nowhere with some idea or concept, and just next thing you know, they're doing a 2-week fast for 500,000, or they're doing a bicycle ride 48 hours for over $1 million. To LA and Vegas, like these kind of things coming up. I think that's like the craziest because the prop bet culture.
Have you ever taken any yourself or been involved in any?
Oh yeah, I've had a lot. I've done no alcohol for a year, no bread for a year. I've done no carry on only for a year.
Did you manage them?
Yeah, I did those. There was a tattoo bet. Not going to disclose the exact amount, but I was they get involved. There was 6 figures, healthy 6 figures. So that was a weird, crazy how it came up and how that went down. But Yeah, I'm a prop. I like to take the bets or be a part of it, like the long shots. I'm not in the business of laying long odds. Like I've hit some crazy bets, like 30-1 on like lot and thinks questions and stuff, and whatever. But I never like to be the guy laying the huge price, like because I always bet on the man. I just believe the man can perform and do it. Like and I don't bet against. Generally if someone thinks they can do something as well and they're laying like long odds or like they take it, like there's some calculation and thought there. So that's been my kind of, I guess, would say my history of my advice would be like, don't be the one laying long odds against people on prop bets.
All right, there you have it. What advice would you have for anyone who wants to make it as a pro these days?
Yeah, it's quite a good question. I get this a lot in Twitch and just in general, and it's very difficult because again, I started in 2000, call it 3 or 4. So it's like 18, 19 years, and I was in high school and playing, and this was the Wild West, brand new, moneymaker, rounders, playing 25 cents, 50 cents online and with friends. And, I didn't really risk much. Like to someone, it's a very loaded question. It's a very complex question because I'm 35, I have a 2-year-old, I'm married. If you told me today, no poker experience or knowledge, hey, like what would I do? I'd probably buy a course. There's a lot of good ones, different styles that, I could promote one in particular, but there's a bunch, right? Like there's a lot of options. So I would say get some material, find someone that you like, one of the 4 or 5 top players that have courses. I would say go through that, watch that. In the meantime, play very low stakes, but not play money because it's completely different. It's just like people are playing all ins and it's completely false. So even if it's like 1 cent, 2 cent, or 5 cent, 10 cent, do something small, play the game, learn it online, practice, try to play like small at a casino as well. Get in there like $1, $2, mess around a bit, but then learn as you go, practice, and you got to get reps and you got to play, you got to practice. And just, again, someone's risking coming in at like 40 or 50 and trying to jump into high mid stakes, you can lose a lot, right? So it's like take time, start slow. And the game's harder. It's more difficult. There's more information. The general baseline is just, it's tougher because like there is more information. The default player is just going to be better, understand ranges and opening hands, but like that's the basics, right? You need to learn that. What hands, what positions to play, how it matters, bet sizing, what position you're in, these type of fundamentals you need to learn. And then from there kind of practice and just realize that you're not just going to come in and be a world beater most likely overnight. And again, the younger you are, the more you can kind of risk and dive into it. If you're in like your 18 to 21 or 25, it's not as big a deal. Maybe probably aren't married, probably don't have kids, or if you have a girlfriend, there's some time commitments. But ultimately, it's much different than if you have 2 kids and you're married and you're just diving in and you want to become a professional poker player. I think it's a bit unrealistic. But again, you could always do it as a hobby. You could do it as a side thing. Maybe you have a job and you part-time or play a little or choose a day of the week and study in the meantime. But I think you just got to be realistic with who you are, what's going on in your life, and that this is not 2004. This is 20 years, 15, 17, 18 years later, then the boom, and poker's gotten tougher. It's different, and just be realistic with your expectations. And of course, bankroll management, and don't risk what you can't be willing to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. If you only have to listen, I tell this to people, commentary from 15 years ago and compare it to today, and listen to the terminology and the strategy from the commentators. It's the game has just like completely changed in its expertise. But we talk about skill. Like, what are the traits would you say are absolutely essential for making it as a pro? Because I think you can be skillful, but like you said, if you don't have bankroll management or discipline, then you're basically always going to go broke, and then being skillful doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of attributes that I think are important, but definitely like bankroll management, tilt factor. Like there's so many guys I know that are great poker players, and they even have like bracelets and major accomplishments, and they're basically in and out of money or broke a lot of the time. So I think that that's very important. Bankroll management, discipline, game selection. And those would be some of like the biggest, maybe underrated things in general that you just need to do. Not playing when you're tired, not chasing it, being able to walk away losing, being able to walk away winning. Knowing when a game shifts or changes, knowing yourself. Also, just like not having an ego, like to sell pieces of tournaments, or when things aren't going well, step back. Like I think that's a lot of things. People try to force it. They just play more when they're running, like things aren't going well, and like try to think that it's going to happen. That's the way to do it. So I just think that those kind of things like are the things that people that I see that have been very successful in poker, great players, you know, the ones, the household names and the guys that just you can tell are doing the right things. They show up on time, they're rested, they're focused, they're present. You know, that's another thing about being present. Like for me, this is something that I've always had a little issue with because I do the Instagram live content, like I'm streaming, doing clips, I'm doing the YouTube video, I'm playing streaming on Twitch plus playing tables. It's a lot. So like I realized this is something I work with Elliot Rowe, and this is something that, you know, was a big realization because, you know, I just had to realize, like I actually, my first two losing WSOPs, I had won every WSOP. I was in the black. 17 and 18 were my first two losing years at the World Series. And I was trying to think like, wow, you know, like, well, obviously you can't win every time always. Like, so I was like, okay, like, but I was like, what's different? Has anything changed? And then I realized like when I started these YouTube videos, like I was going later, I was coming like 20, 30 blinds, 15 blinds, like late registering, coming at 4 or 5 o'clock. You know, I'm doing videos, I'm walking away, I'm filming, I'm doing all shit. Like I wasn't really present those years. And there's no doubt that, you know, sure, I didn't run well, probably as well. Like I just wasn't running great, but like I also, you know, you come in there and just get a coin flip or whatever, or 3-1, you know, with 15 or 20 blinds. It's like you're not giving your best, you're not picking up dead money, you're not, you know, giving your best effort. So, but that was something like once I accept that, it's important to be aware, right? Like it's one thing to just do it, it's another to just like, okay, hey, this is me, I'm giving up this, but like in turn, maybe there's some sponsorship deals, some commentary, some affiliate deals, so it's just like it's a formula. So as long as you're like aware, like, okay, maybe my results are going to suffer some, or let's be realistic, or this is what I could do. Maybe just show up, you know, work, be on your phone, be at the table, but start early instead of like working, coming late, and then being, you know. So it's just like a matter of being aware. So I would say that was important for me, and you know, whatever you're doing, just understand like there's consequences, and you have to be realistic with your expectations and what you're doing. And for me, that's something I always kind of calibrate into my year and my results. And I think my results have suffered a bit, but I think it's like net a positive overall, and that's something that I'm always trying to be aware of and calibrate.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the most important skill sets, the self-awareness. And then not just that, but being objective about it. Like, you know, what can I do to change this? And actually changing it is one of the greatest skills I think you can, not just on poker, but if you are forced to do it in poker, if you're going to survive for any lengthy time.
Yeah, I agree.
So tell us, who have been the toughest players you ever played? Like if you were to have to say, okay, I don't want to be in a room with that person, let alone on a table with them, who would they be?
Well, yeah, it's a long list of great players. There's a few that have held over me, I think, that are just like great players, but they just seem to always, you know, whatever. Some coolers stand out, but just like a couple of Canadians, like you know, Pascal Francois in particular, Mark Radoja. I lost heads up for a bracelet, and a few other big. I got it in Ace Jack to King 10. We were heads up like 16 to 13 blinds. And, you know, didn't win that. And then another time I get aces, I had ace king suited, 3-handed in the EPT side event. So like this guy like just seems to have my number. Yeah. And Mike Watson as well, very tough, and just in general, he's had a, you know, he's held over me, I think, but also just like world class. You know, these are guys that I would put in the top 0.01% kind of players. So like they're just tough already. I feel like they're better. You know, they're just like great, and then on top of that, like some coolers and hands run out. So, I mean, those are some of the few, but I mean, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of great players. There's a long list, but I'd say like off the top of my head, just like some of these hands and big spots that stand out, and in general, they just seem to, you know, be very, very tough players.
Where do you think poker is heading now?
You know, you see the emojis, like kind of like trying to make it more like League of Legends or just gamified. Like I think that's important. You know, finding variants. Like ultimately, people like to gamble. Like they like the element of luck and skill. Like look at people play blackjack and roulette all day long, and you're just losing every bet you make in EV. Whereas in poker, in theory, you know, you can have EV or be a winning player. Some of the time, you're going to be at a table where you're plus EV, right? Like that's just going to be the facts of it. So. You know, I think that I think it's going in a spot where people are trying to do. Okay, listen, I've played like some 5-card PLO, not a lot, but like 6-card Omaha high low. I love PLO high low, PLO 8. So you know these kind of games, like ultimately, there's just going to be different games, variations, making them turbos, hypers, knockouts, progressive knockouts, like there's just all these creative ways. The short decks come to life with the Triton, and that looked like that was going to take over, and then that's kind of faded a bit, but it's still there and popular. So I think like poker, there's just always new games. Pineapple, the flip and go format, the WSOP. There's just so many ways you can do something that's fun. And of course, they could say no limit Hold'em's game solved, but even so, look at the WPT at the Hard Rock earlier this year. It hit the record by 25% bigger than the history, like with glass up and masks. Couldn't even get a seat in late regging there. So it's like I just think that live poker is always going to be in great shape, and I think online, you could RTA, real-time assistance and solvers and stuff. There's some worry about that, but still, like, at what stakes is that really going on, and at what level? And there's also good security. Jason Kuhn is an expert. I said GG brought him on. Nano Noko with ACR. Like Party Poker's got people working closely and monitoring and checking. Like some of the security and software is amazing, and they do shut down accounts and figure stuff out. And look at the guy, even his friends posted about him. Like it's just like stuff like comes out. There's like at the end of the day, it's just a cat and mouse. There's always going to be people trying to do things when there's money involved, whether it's a private game or app or online or get possible. Like there's just bad people that make bad decisions or do things that aren't ethical all the time. And ultimately, I think that's just about it's just like police, right? Like and bad guys and hackers. There's always like finding ways and then finding how to catch them, and then you bring some of the guys that were doing bad stuff on. Yeah. Teach you how to do it or whatever. So I think it's in a good state. I think that Michigan's where I'm born and raised. My dad's playing on Party there regularly and loves it, and that it seems like it's in a good place. I just think ultimately we need to get New York, obviously California, the tribal stuff. It's a bit complicated. Huge. That'd be like one of the biggest countries in the world alone. So I think it's coming. I think they'll be piggybacking on the sports stuff. Daily fantasy, which is way less skill than poker. It's legal in 40 states or 42 states.
It's crazy, right?
Just bizarre, right? But it's, I don't know. Poker also has like negative connotations still associated to it a bit. Like Rounders, unbelievable movie, but even there's like the villain, and it's like the guy breaks up with his girl, and there's seedy stuff. It's like Queen's Gambit put chess on a new stratosphere along with COVID and chess.com and people streaming the Botez sisters and all this stuff, Anna Rudolph and Jen Shahadi. There's a list goes on of very interesting and exciting people that they were doing this game that really was no money in it. It was like low streaming, probably on the totem pole. This stuff comes out right place, right time, and boom. Like I still think there's a way that there could be a poker show, a series, some kind of movement or excitement or like glorifying or showing, some kid that like when, paid his way through college, positive story on it. It doesn't have to have negative stuff. And I just think that there's still ways where it could really get illuminated and put in a really positive light. I think it could have like unbelievable growth. I still think there's room for that. And I think we're seeing signs of it still.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember when I first started playing as well, and it was just seen as gambling. Like whenever you told anyone this is what you were doing, all they saw was you as a gambler, basically. And us as Europeans, honestly, we literally can't believe that you can't even play online poker in what is considered the land of the free. So it's just so bizarre. So hopefully that will change. What's coming up next for you, Jeff?
Well, so I will be I'm going to be streaming from out of the US for the Millions on Party Poker. That's big this month. There's some big events, so that's exciting. I will be, again, I got a couple of projects I'm working on. I can't really say too much because I just personally rather not talk. I'd rather deliver and show stuff than just like, because even like now I'm surprised it's taken this long. I've kind of been working on it and developing and designing and work. I got kind of the right team involved, and I think something that'll kind of revolutionize poker where it's at. It's more about content though, not on like this technical or solver studying side. So that's been a passion project, but just kind of moving along and working hard and just podcasts. I got some great guests lined up.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's good. It's good. It's a grind. It's like, it's just a lot goes into it. As you know, you got to plan, you got to reach out, you got to coordinate time zones, you got to, mic issues. There's always something, and, it's a process. So, I've kind of just like closed my eyes, done it, got over 150 episodes now.
Nice.
Have a nice range of guests from poker to business to actors and whatever athletes. a wide range. It's not just poker, even though it's predominantly poker, but I enjoy it. Like I love it. You know, like Mike Sexton was a good friend, passes away. We did 3-hour podcasts. Like it's just kind of cool, like to have something in time recorded. You never know, you know, what's going to happen or anything. It's just like to have conversations with people you like, respect, and get to know. You know, I love it. I think it's fun, and it's just, you know, ultimately it's a really nice compliment to Twitch, because Twitch is great and it's fun, but it's like, you know, you stream it. It's just like to actually have a conversation with people and get to know them better. Because even on like poker news or whatever, Poker Go, or you might get a blip or a minute or two or a few minute interview and something. You don't really get to know someone, so I think it's fun to talk to them, get to hear how they think, what's important to them, what motivates them, and you know, I think that a lot of people like that. And again, I'm doing it not for, oh, I want to get a Joe Rogan deal and do 2,000 and hopefully, you know, become whatever. Like I just do it because I like it. I think it's great, and you know, I feel like it's good. I honestly don't even really look at the numbers that much. Like, sure, I'll ask like, hey, how many downloads is it getting every once in a while? Or I'll look at YouTube and see the views and stuff. Of course, it matters. Like, it's like you want to put something, you're not going to do it if no one wants to see it. And it's just like, you know, no value in it. But ultimately, that's not what I'm really doing it for. And similar to Twitch, I was like, I'm just going to start streaming, put my head down, get into it, dive, and then see what happens. And I think that's important. You know, whatever you're doing, you have to really enjoy it. You have to want to do it. And you have to just like kind of go for it, and then auxiliary things can happen, and you can kind of look what's possible later. But you know, for now, yeah, it's like been a couple of years of doing it, and yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. And same thing, like equipment's gotten better, setup's gotten better. You learn stuff. You're on this StreamYard or doing it this way. Or I look back on my first, I'm like, wow, that was crazy. Or why was I doing it like that? Or like, everything is so like we're just, you know. I just like things are constantly optimized and improving in general. And that's just like part of it. You know, I actually went to this guy, Brad Lee. I don't know if you know who that is. Have you heard of that name? Brad Lea.
It rings a bell.
So he was my 150th episode, but I was on his podcast before that. And then like we had met, I heard of him. He's in Vegas. And so they like reached out and, you know, say, hey, you know, love to have you on. And I was like, sure. I actually didn't really know who he was until I had heard same thing. I'd seen him maybe somewhere and like just kind of was around. He's like a pretty good sized podcast, but he's based in Vegas. And so there, and then when I was like, oh, I'll be in there for the World Series, we timed it around that. I came in one day, but like, I was just so impressed. Like, you know, the guy had full blown studio, like huge office, people working, like doing the audio levels. It was green screens. He records, like he actually had done stuff in the ground new Poker VAR. Like years ago, they made this like course. He's done Tony Robbins' course and all that stuff. But like, you know, I have an office and it's like decent size, but it's like for poker, and it's not a podcast studio in there. But like, I was just like, you know, eventually, yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be amazing to have like a team that's running it, clicking it, and you're, you know, they come in and sit down, and it's like a thing. And like that ultimately, I think would be a lot of fun and kind of what I would like to do. But again, it's just like things don't happen overnight. You know, it's like I have people with Twitch. Great players say, hey man, can you help me like get set up? Or they ask, I send my blueprint. Here's all the equipment you need. Here's whatever. But guess what? 99% of those guys, they either did one or two, or they never started. And it's a lot. Just like podcasting, same thing. Everyone's trying to do a podcast, but you know, again, there's stuff. You need a team. You need to know how to get it out. You need to do the titles, the wordings, the banners, put it on the things, like organize the guests, do all this stuff. So it's just there's a barrier to entry, and most people aren't willing to do the work, and you really have to love it. On top of that, to get in. So again, I'm just happy, excited, going to keep going, put my head down, keep going at it, and hopefully people keep enjoying it and grows. But ultimately, either way, like even if I stopped and I never did another podcast, I'd be like, yeah, it was great. I loved it. It was exciting. And of course you can like repurpose clips, use it for content. And you know, that's another thing, like trying to get better too. It's like, I have a library now of cool guests and interesting things. And like, ultimately, you know, I want to get to a point where it's like, oh, Jungle Man won a brace the other day. He's been on 2 podcasts. Like, let's put out a clip automated just like that. Like, congrats, Jungle Man. Or, oh, today I have a birthday sheet with all the guests. Like, happy birthday. Put a clip out from the guests. Like, these are the type of things that I know are possible. And like, I just like, it's like to the point where just go. And then at some point, it's just like you have these things that you can use and do that you don't even know. You know, that in itself is a lot of work. You got to people go through, organize it, do it. So that's kind of like where I'm trying to get, like the Gary V type stuff. Like I want to just have like, be like, do content, do what I love, and then just like let things happen. But of course, it takes a while. It's hard to find good people, have a good team. People have to understand your style, and if you give up control, and you know, it's all learning and growing.
Absolutely, and like you said, I think people just expect to somehow do one podcast or two podcasts and where's the numbers, why is nobody coming here, and just expect overnight success. I think people expect that in a lot of different areas, and they don't understand the work that it really takes. And like you said, you can't do it for numbers, you got to do it because you enjoy it, and you really, like, I can tell by the way you're speaking, like you're clearly super passionate about these things.
I will say though, it's a bit tricky because at the other side of that though is about focus, right? Because it's like with Twitch, with YouTubing, with podcasting, there's also something to say about consistency, because it's tricky, right? Because like even today I haven't streamed. This is the longest probably I haven't streamed on Twitch in maybe ever. Like it's literally been, I don't know, 2 months or so, or like since the World Series. And it's hard, I like click back live today and no one's there, alerts aren't on or whatever. And like, I'm used to having a good sized show and maybe there'll be whatever, 50 to 200 people or whatever. I have no idea. Who knows? Maybe 20. Doesn't, like, the point is, like, you just can't expect to, nothing's given or in terms of results. And it's just like finding that balance. Because in a dream world, I would say, look, I'm running a podcast on, Wednesdays and Fridays. You can come at this time. It's coming out on my YouTube channel. There will be a release, whatever, every week or whatever. So it's like that scheduling and programming of having that is important. And that's still something I haven't quite got. And it's like, it is tricky, because like you could also argue, well, pretty good on Twitch, pretty good podcast, pretty good YouTube, but it's like, I kind of do a little of everything. And so there's something to be said about just kind of like doing one thing or two things well, but I've just not really ever decided, like, that's not how I've kind of operated. And for better or worse, I don't know. You could argue, right? You could argue, just be Lex, just be like, just do one and just go for it, right? So I don't know. It just depends how you look at it. But for me, it's always an interesting sort of conundrum on what to do. And part of it also is learning, right? Like, what do I love? Maybe I'm just like, what? I just want to do just podcast, or I want to just do this. And then occasionally I'll flick in something to do it. So I don't know. You only have so much time, right? And then you have a family, you got wife, friends, things, and it's like you kind of got to pick and choose what your focus is. But
it seems like you enjoy the variety, though. I think that's why you do everything, right? You enjoy all of those things.
I would argue why I don't get burned out, right? Like on Twitch, it's like when I go back and I'm ready to play, I'm fired up, I'm excited to play. And you do see people get burned out, like no matter what. Like you could say, at some degree, at guys who are streaming 4 or 5 days a week, or they've done some crazy things. Like it is tiring. It's a lot. It's also sitting at a computer for 10 hours or 8 hours a day for 6 days a week is also tough. So it's pluses and minuses, just like anything in life. There's the pros and cons, and just kind of going about it and figuring it out as I go.
What would be like your top few tips for anyone starting streaming and thinking, what, I would really like to stream and play poker? What would be like the top few quick tips for them?
The biggest one I would say is just do it. Like just literally today, just, watch a video. I'm sure there's some good tutorial stuff, but it's not that complicated. Make a Twitch name. Hopefully you have someone that can help you, maybe who knows or has done it, to set it up and do your OBS and just like get you at least off the ground. But then from there, like, look, you have a webcam. Okay. You're on your laptop that has a built-in camera on there. Okay. Who cares? Microphone is stock, whatever. Just like do it, record, because guess what? Yeah, you're gonna have 1, 2, 0 viewers, but you just got to do it. You got to try, you got to start. That first step is really everything, because, looking again back now, guess what? Go try to find my first Twitch stream. I don't know, like it's in the archives now. All my videos save. I don't think for a while they did, or the equipment and the overlay I had, I've changed it 6 times. Like the design, my avatar, my emojis, like all these things that are like kind of bells and whistles. It just doesn't matter. Like ultimately, if you're playing online poker and you think you might like it, just go for it. Just like say, hey, I'm making a Twitch name, I'm starting, and maybe, you have probably some friends, hopefully some family members, like send out a message, hey, I'm streaming, check it out, retweet, tweet, whatever, a buddy, catch a raid, from a streamer. All of a sudden, like a friend of yours happens to stream or knows someone who knows someone, and they send you a raid. And now guess what? You go from, 2 viewers to 400, maybe they all drop off, but if you hit the whatever, they like you, it just builds and go for it. So if you want to do it, start. I think that's the most important thing. And just realize you don't need $1,000 cameras and $1,000 mics and $8,000 computers. And, you just gotta just go. Like stuff comes and you just gotta dive in, and, it might not be for you. It probably isn't, but if you want to try, you'll at least know. And the younger you are and the less commitments and responsibilities you have, the more it makes sense. Not to mention you can get affiliate deals, right? You get you do a couple things, you get a couple casino tie-in, like even like in the US, ACR, Ignition, there's these sites where, sponsor some sites, play on them, maybe reach out, get some tickets. Like there's ways to get creative and generate value. I know Phil Nagy has been very generous historically with even up and coming streamers, Party Poker, other sites, Rob Young, like they do stuff. They're giveaways. They're looking, PokerStars hired a bunch of guys after they lost, a fair amount of the people left or didn't renew. And they did a big thing and hired a bunch of like kind of up and coming streamers. So I think that's the biggest thing I would say is if you really want it, go for it. Don't worry about it. And, even if nothing else, you have a Twitch channel and you did it and you can then look back. Like for me, what I love most about content is it's a journal. I use day one journal. I used to keep up the entries and, look back, and I love like pictures. Like I take a lot of pictures and my friends used to joke about it, but like now it's like, I got some sick photos from 2003 or 10 or 8 and trips and like whatever. But it's like same thing now. If I ever want to go back, like there's so many crazy Twitch clips I've had where, a T-show or crazy rivers or big scores or bad beats. I mean, I had a 25-hour stream where I won 140 grand for $500 2 days before I got married in Brazil. Like that's like a memory I'll have for the rest of my life. It didn't just happen, but I have a video of like hugging my brother-in-law in Brazil. My wife's parents who don't speak English coming down at 8 a.m. after I've been up all night, hugging them and celebrating, whatever. Like this is stuff that's like something that I'll show my kids that I'll have forever. Like I'll have clips of it and memories of it, and YouTube as well. There's videos, like podcasts. Like I said, go back. I want to see Mike Sexton or talk to him. Like or I can pull up the video and chat, like see this stuff and have some memories. So I think it's like really memory dividends in general. That's like in a journal. That's what I love the most truly about this, is that it's just like a way to kind of remember and the journey, because it blends together. Vegas, I've been going for 12, 13 years. I don't remember like some of this time, like what final table or cash or a bad beat. And now like with these vlogs, like the last 3 years, like I have, pretty much documented at least somewhat the journey, the run, the memories, who was there, who was around, what happened. And, it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we're quite lucky in this age. It's all digital now. We get to look back and see everything that we've done quite easily. And that's awesome. All right, let's do a fun rapid fire if we can. Jeff, are you ready for some quick questions?
Yes.
All right. Favorite poker player?
Say Antonio Esfandiari.
Okay. What do you like best? Podcasting, poker streaming, or live poker?
Probably podcasting.
Favorite event and why?
Well, I think it has to be the main event, just because it's just like that special. It's just, they got the ESPN, the coverage, the excitement, the prizes, the pool, the fact that everyone's there, everyone knows about it. People that don't even follow really poker closely or whatever, they'll tune in or they'll want to know. I got people I haven't connected with in a while. They'll like text or check in and watch. So I just think it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest, the brightest, the best event.
What's the best thing about being a poker player?
Definitely own schedule. Being the freedom to do what you want when you want. That ultimately has always been my driving force on why I've wanted to do it, and freedom, just complete kind of freedom.
What's the worst thing?
Maybe schedule, just like late, long hours, late nights. There's times where games or you run all night and your sleep can get kind of messed up, and it's the whole like early to bed, early to rise makes man wise kind of out the door. Like I'd love to get up at 6 a.m., hit a cold plunge, have a coffee, and hit my workout, but oftentimes I sleep in, and that's something that's just a little bit part of the deal.
If poker disappeared tomorrow, what would you do?
Probably podcasting, but also I just kind of want to be a sports agent. And I really enjoy the NFT crypto space. So, maybe something. Honestly, I guess it'd probably be in that. Originally, I thought I'd be maybe a sports agent, but I think it would dive into stuff that I'm working on. I'm just kind of really into a lot of the business venture side of things in general, and there's something in that space.
Cool. What is the best book you've read lately?
Die with Zero, I have to say. Bill Perkins' book, it really is like, I've known Bill for a long time. He's one of my closest friends. Super interesting guy, but just like him putting his thoughts and ideas and concepts on the paper, which like, just the way he looks at life and approaches, I think it's like beneficial to anyone. And probably I would bet like anyone, a random person reads it, I bet it would change their thinking in some capacity. It would make their life more beneficial for them. And I think that's powerful.
What's it called?
It's called Die with Zero. Actually, I got one here. It's and actually I'm reading Dan's book. Dan Bilzerian's. I actually really I like the I actually really, it's interesting because I want to say something about Dan in a second, but yeah, this one's Die with Zero.
Zero.
This is Bill's book, and it's amazing. Honestly, I think it's life changing, and I would recommend it to anybody. And then yeah.
So what would be your favorite movie?
I think Shawshank Redemption is like my go-to answer. There's actually, I always stumble on this question. Like I try to think of a few, but that
Shawshank's good.
That one stands out for me.
Favorite place in the world?
Probably Key Biscayne, Florida, like where I live. That's where I chose. But I mean, to visit or party, I love Montreal, and Austin, Texas. Those are some of my favorites.
Tell us something most people don't know about you.
I mean, I played college soccer. I don't know. I mean, that's Division I soccer. That's my kind of passion. So,
You still play?
A little bit. Yeah, we play the World Cup. I don't know if you've seen that in Vegas. They do that with the teams. Have you seen this? Where they have like everyone from the country. We do like a World Cup tournament. You play for your country. And
no, I haven't seen it. Sounds fun.
A little bit, yeah.
Best life moment?
I mean, my son being born for sure, but in terms of like partying or some kind of memory that was cool, like probably Necker Island for Bill's 50th. That was just like pretty surreal experience and group and whatever. But yeah, I mean, we have to like meeting my wife or my son being born. I think that's
many to choose from.
Yeah, that's the most memorable.
Fantastic. Anything else you'd like to add, Jeff?
No, just that, I hope everyone enjoys the podcast and that they get to check out some other stuff. Again, content wise, I think I just have a pretty wide variety of stuff and, something for everyone. If you like Twitch, if you like podcasts, if you like YouTube kind of style vlogs. So I welcome you to check that out. It's pretty much Jeff Gross Poker across the board or Jeff Gross Podcast. And, always, say hi if you see me in person. I love when people come up and introduce themselves. And that's really it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. And I wish you all the best for the streaming and the podcasts. And guys, honestly, check them out. Some awesome guests in that podcast. I've watched some of them, and it's really good. So make sure you go over there. You'll definitely get some value. Thanks again, Jeff. Have an awesome day.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.